On the morning of August 17, 1947, a line was published that would change the lives of millions. Known as the Radcliffe Line, it sliced through the heart of the Indian subcontinent, dividing not just land, but communities, families, and centuries-old bonds. The provinces of Punjab and Bengal, regions renowned for their deep cultural, linguistic, and social unity, were suddenly split apart, their fates rewritten by distant hands. Punjab's division would soon harden into the India-Pakistan border, while the partition of Bengal would later form the boundary between India and Bangladesh after Bangladesh's emergence in 1971. The Radcliffe Line was not the product of careful study or sensitive negotiation. Instead, its creation was hurried. The result of a mere 5 weeks of deliberation, Sir Cyril Radcliffe, the British lawyer entrusted with drawing the line, had never even set foot in India before. He arrived with an impossible mandate: to divide provinces based on religious majorities, with little knowledge of the intricate tapestry of local demographics, kinship networks, and shared histories. The task was daunting and, in hindsight, tragically flawed. For the people of Bengal and Punjab, the consequences were immediate and profound. These were not lands of homogeneous religion or culture. They were places where communities of Hindus and Muslims, Sikhs and Christians, Buddhists and indigenous tribes had lived side by side for generations. In the markets and schools, in the songs and festivals, in the rivers and fields, their lives were woven together. The Radcliffe Line, however, paid little heed to these realities. It was a line drawn on a map, guided by census figures and hurried recommendations, but oblivious to the lived experiences of those it would so abruptly divide. In Bengal, the impact was especially acute. The region's unique identity, shaped by the lush deltas of the Ganges and Brahmaputra, the poetic language of Bengali, and a rich tradition of art, literature, and political activism, was suddenly fractured. The cultural similarities between West Bengal, East Bengal, now Bangladesh, Tripura, and Assam were, and still are, profound. Language, cuisine, dress, and social customs all testify to an enduring sense of shared heritage that long predated the British-imposed borders. Yet, this complexity was largely ignored in the rush to partition. Perhaps nowhere is the arbitrary nature of the Radcliffe Line more evident than in the fate of certain districts. Take Murshidabad, for example. This historic city, once the seat of the Nawabs of Bengal, was predominantly Muslim, and, by all logic, seemed destined to be part of Pakistan. Indeed, for a brief moment, it was. But in the final drafts, Murshidabad was transferred to India, a decision that bewildered its residents and left them feeling stranded on the wrong side of a border they had no role in shaping. Similarly, Karimganj, a Bengali-speaking region with deep ties to nearby Sylhet, found itself retained by India, folded into Assam. This, despite the fact that Sylhet had voted to join Pakistan in a referendum. The bonds of kinship and culture, so strong between these regions, were sundered overnight, leading to decades of longing, migration, and, at times, conflict. For the millions living in these borderlands, partition was not just a political event, it was a personal catastrophe. Families were split, homes abandoned, and ancestral lands lost. The trauma of dislocation, the pain of leaving behind loved ones and familiar places, would echo for generations. In Bengal and the Northeast, these wounds have never truly healed. Waves of migration, both voluntary and forced, have continued to shape the region's demography and politics to this day. Yet, in the broader Indian narrative, the story of Bengal's partition has often been overshadowed. While the violence and upheaval in Punjab captured the nation's and the world's attention, the suffering in Bengal and the Northeast was, and remains, less recognized. Part of this neglect stems from the geographical distance of these regions from the corridors of power in Delhi, and from the political priorities of leaders who were often more attuned to the concerns of North and Western India. The result is a persistent sense of marginalization. Many in West Bengal, Bangladesh, Tripura, and Assam feel that their histories, their traumas, and their unique contributions to the subcontinent's identity are overlooked. The cross-border migrations that have occurred since 1947, driven by family reunification, economic necessity, and the continuing search for security, are often viewed through the narrow lens of national security or communal politics rather than as the enduring legacy of a flawed partition. The political narratives emerging from the heartlands of India, particularly under leaderships dominated by those from Gujarat and North India, have at times failed to recognize the distinctiveness of the greater Bengal and Assam constituencies. The rich mosaic of cultures, languages, and histories that define these regions is often reduced to stereotypes, or worse, dismissed as peripheral to the mainstream Indian experience. But the reality on the ground tells a different story. In the bazaars of Kolkata and Dhaka, in the tea gardens of Assam, along the winding rivers of Tripura, and in the border villages where families straddle two nations, the shared heritage of the region is alive and palpable. Festivals are celebrated across borders, songs and poems travel on radio waves, and recipes passed down through generations continue to flavor daily life. Even as official boundaries harden, the people of these regions find ways to maintain connections, to visit relatives, to conduct trade, to remember the stories of a time before the line. The persistence of migration, sometimes legal, sometimes not, between West Bengal, Bangladesh, Tripura, and Assam is testament to the artificiality of the imposed division. For many, the border is a recent wound, not a natural or inevitable separation. Family reunification remains a powerful force, as does the basic human desire to seek a better life, to escape poverty or persecution, or simply to return to the land of one's ancestors. This ongoing movement of people has, of course, presented challenges. Questions of citizenship, identity, and belonging have become sites of political contestation. Communities have sometimes been pitted against each other, and the specter of communalism has not disappeared. Yet, despite these tensions, the underlying reality is one of resilience and adaptation. The people of Bengal and the Northeast have navigated the complexities of new national identities with creativity and determination. The legacy of the Radcliffe Line, then, is not just one of division and loss, but also of enduring connection. It is a reminder of the dangers of drawing borders without understanding the lives they will affect, of making decisions in haste and ignorance. But it is also a testament to the strength of cultural bonds, to the capacity of ordinary people to transcend political barriers and assert their shared humanity. In reflecting on this history, it is important to recognize the unique experiences of those in Bengal and the Northeast. Their stories are not marginal. They are central to the story of partition and its aftermath. To understand modern South Asia, one must listen to the voices from these borderlands, to the tales of separation and reunion, of loss and hope. As the subcontinent continues to grapple with the legacies of partition, there is much to learn from the resilience, creativity, and enduring spirit of the people who live along the old fault lines. Their experiences remind us that borders may divide, but culture, memory, and human connection can, and often do, transcend even the most formidable barriers.